Howdy, y'all. It's Curious Raven. How are y'all doing this week? It is Tuesday today. I hope everyone's doing okay. But I hope everyone has a great week. We have some haunted building / house stories today. I hope y'all enjoy. Number 1. Used to be a believer when I was a kid. I've debunked every event in the calendar except one. Still can't explain how this happened. Family road vacation during the summer of 1978 or 79. I was about 10. My mom and dad drove us kids everywhere. This event happened in Virginia City, Nevada. We had a great time touring the town and shops. I was thrilled by the Western-style shootout on Main Street. The loser had squibs in his torso that exploded blood, and he fell near my feet. I was surprised, then proud to have a drop of fake blood on my shirt. It was a 10-year-old boy's idea of an awesome day. My dad took me and my younger sister to the cemetery. I think we were killing time while my mom took my younger brother to the restroom. We stayed very close to my dad. Cemeteries were spooky to us kids then. I was doing the math on the dates listed to determine the age of death. Soon I became further spooked by all of the kids and babies in this place. The event happened at one large family plot. I was looking at the headstones of the kids when I suddenly fell forward onto the grave without warning or intent. My dad yelled at me to stay off the graves. He'd already warned us it was taboo. I still can't explain how or why I fell. My sister still remembers because it scared her. She said I simply fell forward as if I fell asleep, except she could see I was still awake. I don't recall tripping, losing balance, fainting, feeling a force or a push or a pull. I didn't lose time. I just simply fell, completely conscious, onto the grave of the dead kids. It scared the shit out of me. And that's it. I still don't know what happened. I haven't debunked my sister's belief it was paranormal. Well, I no longer believe in the paranormal. I don't have an explanation yet. I hope you enjoyed my retelling. The next story is from Paranormal Sciences. They are a paranormal research group, and y'all should go check them out. I'll leave their link down below. Earlier in this year, a teammate and I went to Comic-Con. It was held at Shriners Temple, and we were representing the Ghost Hunters cosplay chapter in the area. Needless to say, later in the con, we met the PR of the Shriners in the area where I live. We got to talking, and he was thrilled to let us investigate the temple because it was known to have activity throughout the organization. We set the date up and time, and eventually we met with PJPR. He showed us around the building of all the hotspots. We did our baselines with my tri-field meter. I'm not exaggerating when I say this was one of the most active locations I have ever investigated in my 20-plus years of paranormal investigations. We have objects flying off the shelves captured by video. Best part of the night was we actually had an SLS camera. The PR for the Shriners was with me, and we were in the left side of this huge auditorium. And my teammate was with another person that was with us. They heard audible, disembodied music coming from the stage area. Meanwhile, the PR of the Shriners and I were watching stick figures from the SLS camera literally dancing. That was some of the most fun activity I have ever captured on film. During the audio review, we captured the audio that was playing in the auditorium. We captured the candy bars that the Shriners sell flying off shelves. It was one of the most insane stuff we've ever recorded. Now the Shriners are allowing my partner and I access to report hauntings in the area where we live. No, I'm not a Shriner or a Mason. We're just lucky to be part of this awesome experience. Number 3. I had felt an unsettling feeling in my bowels a few times, including apparitions and whispered voices in my life. Before I read somewhere decades ago that if you tell a spirit you are dead, you can now move on, out loud 3 times, they will depart. Since then, I've encountered 3 spirits at my respective workplaces and decided to test the theory, if you will, and I have never felt them again. The most recent, just a month or so ago, I allowed the spirit to inform me of their demise, and they sent a very sharp pain to my scalp and somehow knew it was the head of an axe. I'm still skeptical enough that I let this go on for a few days, and I told them twice they are dead and they can move on now. The sharp pain in my head intensified when I was near their area. I was telling my coworker about this. I've talked about these things with him before, and he doesn't think I'm crazy, or at least he indulges my musings. Out in the parking lot after shift, joking that I already told the spirit they are dead, but only twice. And he was like, "Oh man, you can't leave them hanging like that." So I look over to the area where the spirit lingered, and I almost casually said, "Okay, fine. You're dead. You can move on now." And I felt the most intense chill run from my core up through my scalp and suddenly release my energy. And I do not sense the presence of the ghost anymore. He was a very sweet old man that just didn't want the power lines coming through his property back around the turn of the last century, and somebody, maybe even himself by accident, split his head wide open with the axe that he had in his hands. It seems to me that he tried to chop down the power line and electrocuted himself, and the axe came back upon his skull by the surge. I don't watch many of the ghost shows on TV, but it seems most solutions include commanding them to leave or telling them they're not welcome anymore. I don't remember hearing of anybody simply telling these trapped souls that they were actually dead. It makes me think that the poltergeist type of activities are souls that are really mad that they can't interact physically with us. I have another theory about all these souls being trapped by early electricity technology before wires were insulated. That is a discussion for another time. Number 4. So, this past weekend, my fiance Joey, male 39, and I, female 40 tomorrow, were at Echo Lodge, motel brand name changed, celebrating my birthday early since we both finally had the weekend off and we desperately needed to spend some quality time with each other. Friday, late afternoon, we're in our room, number 263. This is important because there are only 2 floors, and we were at the end of the hallway. So not many guests on our end, which was nice because it was quiet for the most part. Joey and I were watching TV when we heard what sounded like a very heavy footsteps above us, followed by the sound of a small cast iron cannonball being dropped directly above where our heads were. That in itself was terrifying because seriously, what the fuck? Later on, Joey and I are sitting in bed, my back facing him, when all of a sudden Joey goes, "Whoa, what the fuck?" I looked up at him and asked what happened, and he told me that he had just seen a massive white orb float from the bed to the ceiling right between us. I was like, what? And then I realized that for the last 15 minutes, it had been very cold between us, temperature-wise. Saturday night, again, Joey and I are sitting on the bed, just cuddling and watching TV, when out of nowhere I hear a woman's voice in my ear loudly whisper, "Hey." I jumped and screamed and asked Joey, "Did you hear that?" And he said he hadn't heard anything. Half an hour goes by and all of a sudden I feel a very cold hand touch my upper thigh. I screamed louder than I had before and jumped off the bed. Joey was panicking. and asking me what happened, and I told him that someone just touched me. I was for sure freaked out now. We had to go outside for a full half hour just for me to calm down. Well, we left the motel at 10 in the morning. Ever since Saturday night, I haven't stopped hearing whispering, my ear being whispered or hey being whispered in my ear. I am really freaked out. I'm in North Carolina if that helps. I need any kind of help in finding a reliable ghost hunter group, or even a good medium might help. I don't know anymore. Someone please help me. Number 5. I'm an RN, and I work for our float pool, traveling nurses within the same system. I was floated to the closed, sometimes opened, old locked psych unit that is occasionally used for overflow patients and staff by float pool when needed. Working night shift, I had a patient ask during night med pass if I could ask housekeeping to not empty her trash in the middle of the night as it woke her up the night before. I thought, weird, but okay. I called housekeeping, and they said they don't have anyone cleaning on nights on the overflow unit. This patient was fully oriented, walking, talking, not weird at all. Not a sundowner in any way whatsoever. 3 a.m. rolls around, and the patient rings her call bell. As I'm walking down the hallway to her room, the double doors, locked requires a badge swipe, close. I answered her bell, and she is mad. She asked for housekeeping not to come in, and they did. She said they emptied her trash, and she heard the can open and the trash bag rustle. I profusely apologized and insisted it won't happen again. I called housekeeping, who again stated they don't have someone covering our floor at night because it's just an overflow unit. So I called security since the doors are badged access only. We pulled the badge swipe logs from the doors, and no one had access to doors after the kitchen staff picked up the dirty trays at 9 p.m. We pull footage of the hallway corridor and can clearly see one of the doors open halfway, close, and not a single person in sight. We still have no explanation to this day, and it's just well known that the 11th floor is haunted. Apparently, it was making the psych patients go crazier. So they moved the unit to a new wing of the hospital and only use this floor now for short-term overflow. Number 6. This is a true story. It happened a long time ago when I was a child. My mother and her friends liked to visit places believed to be haunted. After ghost hunting one night, she told me that she was afraid she brought something home, something evil. She told me she could feel an evil presence in the house and could hear whispering. I didn't hear anything, so I just thought she was imagining it. I heard screaming that night and was frozen in my bed with fear. After the screaming stopped, I waited a while and then went downstairs to see what happened. My mother was sitting on the sofa shaking, and she told me that she woke up because she heard a baby crying. She said she followed the sound through the house and down into the basement. When she got down into the basement, the baby stopped crying and a woman started screaming. She frantically looked around for the woman but couldn't find her. She looked out the basement window to see if the woman was outside. That's when she seen her reflection and realized she was the woman screaming. She turned around and started running back up the basement steps, and she could hear a baby giggling. After that, I started hearing the whispering and someone walking around the house late at night. There was a foul odor and a chill that seemed to move from room to room. My mother believed that she was possessed sometimes because she would find herself standing in the yard or basement with no memory how she got there. This went on for years. We tried having the house blessed to get rid of it, but nothing worked. Finally, we moved hoping it would follow, and it didn't. Whatever it was stayed at the house. Every now and then again, I think about stopping at the house and asking the people that live there now if there are any strange things going on. But how do you ask someone something like that without seeming crazy? Number 7. I'm 19 years old, and I wanted to open up about what happened to me. I don't have any photo or video evidence as I was around 7 to 8 years old. However, I used to live in a rusty console house when I was young and used to be scared of the stairs and refused to go upstairs without my mom or dad. One time, my cousin, same age as me, came around to play with me, and we both decided to go upstairs during the day to play in my room. When we got there, we were about to go up the stairs until we saw an actual figure or something staring down with their hair covered. We both screamed and cried and ran to my parents saying there was someone in the house. My parents checked everywhere in the house. Windows are shut, doors were locked, and they said no one was in the house. I know my neighborhood was bad, but not ever did anyone break into someone's house. And it is impossible for someone to be there as everything was shut and the house was small. The eerie thing is that the thing me and my cousin saw didn't look right. We had a bad feeling that what we encountered was a ghost. After that happened, I couldn't sleep alone, so I had to sleep in my parents' room and had a nightlight. We moved away after a few years, so I'm glad that's over. But I still think about it to this day and struggle to sleep alone at times. Is there genuinely anyone who has experienced this? That is the end of today's stories. I hope y'all enjoyed them. Y'all have a good next couple of days. I will see y'all on Thursday for more true ghostly tales. I love y'all so much. And remember, it's scary out there. Please like and subscribe.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross